The amount of times I've heard an agent say, oh, you'll never be able to get it. They'll never sell it for that. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. And the agent comes back after and goes, I cannot believe you got it for that price. Happens all the time.
I'll literally ring up and I'll say, look, you know what's coming now. I'm going to go a bit cheeky. People talk about 25% below market value. I never, ever, ever do that. There is no percentage off discount rule in my world anyway.
I'm the same. It's too simplistic. It just feels like you're plucking numbers out of the air for no reason. Why would somebody accept a low offer? They wouldn't. There are many reasons why a vendor will sell a property for less based on Building wealth through property isn't about chasing big deals and paydays. It's about owning assets that make money for you consistently. But figuring it all out on your own, that's where most people get stuck. That's why we created this Property Life membership. It's everything we wish we had when we started. Expert guidance, real-world case studies, and a private community of investors actually doing deals, not just talking about them. So you could spend years trying to piece it all together yourself, or you could plug into a system that's already working for our community. Check out our membership page at This Property Life. Everything you need to know is right there. Success is a team sport. Come join in.
Hello and welcome to This Property Life. Today we are going to talk about how to make an offer on a property. So I'm joined by Nick, my co-host, and we're going to talk about cheeky offers without burning bridges. What do agents really think when you come in under asking price? Can you position yourself as a serious buyer and still negotiate a great deal? So top tips, real world scripts, and the psychology behind making offers that stick even when they're cheeky. Nick, have you made a few cheeky offers in your time?
Oh, I love making a cheeky offer. Yes, many a cheeky offer, both, for myself and whilst I'm out on buying trips. It is a bit of a mental hurdle, I think, for a lot of investors who maybe haven't come from a business salesy kind of environment, which is a lot of people. I think some people can feel bad about it, which is valid, but we just need to kind of, try and work on that. And there are some tips and techniques from the world of sales and negotiation that I think would be really helpful, and they really help me. So yeah, I love a cheeky offer. And I think if you made some cheeky offers, Sarah, I bet you have as well.
Quick heads up before we start the show. If you're serious about buy-to-let investing in 2025, you're going to need to know where to invest. Luckily for you, we've helped countless investors find their goldmine area. And we've put together our free 2025 Buy-to-Let Hotspots Guide. It's packed full of insider tips, market trends, and of course, the top 10 UK rental goldmines. So head to our link in the description below and start investing smart.
Yeah, we certainly have. And, sometimes I just if I know the agent well and I've got a bit of rapport with them, I'll literally ring up and I'll say, look, you know what's coming now. I'm going to go a bit cheeky. And they'll laugh. But you've already broken the water. It's like you've already framed it as such. And, you just say, this isn't personal. I'm sure that the vendor, could do a lot better in the open market. But this is the price that works for me. Bring it back to you. Don't put it onto the vendor. I think that's one of the good things, isn't it? But let's widen out a bit. So we've done our numbers. We've found our area. We've got to know it. We've done our viewings. We've understood the people in front of us. We've got lots of information about the solutions that we're the problems that we're solving in terms of the property and the vendor's situation. We've gone away, run our numbers. And there is a certain way that we run our numbers, isn't there, Nick? And, we're not going to detail on that on the podcast. If you do want to find out about that, Nick is very, very handily holding up the No-Nonsense Guide to Property Investing, written by us two.
We do go into that, and we do talk about how to actually work out your numbers. So do grab a copy of that. Where can people find that, Sarah? We put a link up on the podcast.
Yeah, so if you go, it's on Amazon as a Kindle edition, and it's also available on our website, thispropertylife.co.uk, in our shop, I think, where you can also sign up to become members of This Property Life networking community. So yeah, head to thispropertylife.co.uk, find a copy of our book, and the numbers and so much more are explained in great detail in that book. But yeah, let's assume that we have done our numbers. We know what our offer is, and the house is up for 110,000, and we're going to offer. What are we offering?
We might be offering something like 80. 85?
Yeah, it could be 80. It's definitely going to start with an 8, isn't it? I mean, it might start less than that, but yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
And there's no rule on this, people. So it's not that, people talk about 25% below market value. I never, ever, ever do that.
No.
I work out what the property's worth, what needs to be done to it, and what works for me as an offer price. So there is no percentaged off discount rule. In my world anyway. But I know some other people just kind of go, I'll just offer 20% below. I'm not that way inclined.
I'm the same. It's too simplistic. I think that's not going to help you build rapport with agents if they know that everything you offer on is simple 25% off whatever they're trying to sell it for. It just feels like you're plucking numbers out of the air for no reason. And I don't think that's going to help with your cause of building rapport and building relationships with agents, which is the ultimate aim. So, we essentially, if we think about it, we do want people bringing us property that they know will buy. And they also know that we're not going to pay full price. So I get a lot of, new entrants to the property investment world who worry about this a lot and think, well, why would somebody accept a low offer? Why would they? They wouldn't, but they're putting themselves into somebody else's world. And there are many reasons why a vendor will sell a property for less than what an agent tells them that it's worth. The only way you prove that is by doing it and go out and prove it. The amount of times, both myself and out on buying trips with people that work with, the amount of times I've heard an agent say, "Oh, you'll never be able to get it for that. They'll never sell it for that. They'll never sell it for that." Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. And the agent comes back after and goes, I cannot believe you got it for that price. Happens all the time. So first thing is, take all assumptions away. This is not personal. Emotions got to be out of it. You don't put yourself in a vendor's head because you don't know what's in their head. All you can do is do what works for you. I remember actually years ago being at a property event with, and the main speaker at that event was James Caan, who used to be on Dragon's Den at that time. So it's going back a little while, 10, 15 years. Yeah. And he was telling the story and he said that, after he'd built his business, he was a venture capitalist, but also, the agents around London knew that he bought commercial buildings. And so they had I think it was KPMG, their commercial property arm division. They called him up. I said, no, he bought buildings. They said, look, we've got a building for sale. It was valued last year at 10 million. You can have it for 6. Yeah, this is one of our clients who needs to sell it. They'll sell it for 6. James Caan went, all right, thanks. Send the details to my team. We'll look it over. And his team did. And they came back and recommended, based on the current value, based on the tenants that were in there at the time in this commercial building, they said, shouldn't be paying any more than 4 million for this. So I went, cool, thank you. Rang back his contact at KPMG and said, yep, love the building, we'll take it, but my price is 4 million. Cue KPMG person falling off their chair, swearing down the phone, blah, blah. And James Caan was like, look, it's fine. Look, that's where I'm at. I'm good for it. If they want to sell it for that, they want the money. I've got the money. I'll leave it with you. Fine. Put the phone down. And he said, look, firstly, there's no emotion there. It's like, that's my price. Whether if they take it, great. If they don't, that's fine. There'll be others. Right. But sure enough, a few days later, KPMG guy rings back and goes, could you get to 4.2? And James Caan went, no, but I can probably get to 4.1. And they did a deal at 4.1. And he could have gone to 4.2 easily, but he just didn't, because why would he? So he ended up buying a building that was, I put in quote marks, valued at 10 million last year, but valued at 10 million last year means nothing. If someone else could buy it for more than 4.1 million, they would, but what the agent knew was that if he said he was going to buy it for the 4.1, he would buy it for 4.1.
Yeah.
And he had the money there to do it.
Credibility, isn't it? That Correct. We've spoken about many times.
Yeah.
That that if you come at it from a professional, serious perspective, whilst having a laugh, all of that, but you're credible, then what you say, the agents will learn that that's what you mean.
Yeah. And, his credibility was that he'd bought other buildings, right? And he had the money. They know he had the money. So, and this is what, we talk about a lot. My idea is if I'm putting an offer in, I'll acknowledge, look, I know they might be able to get more. Yeah. But I'll buy it. And I have the cash, and here's the cash, and here's the proof of my funds. So I'll have a proof of funds document that I'll give it to them. And this is something, if anyone's read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I suggest everyone should, pretty sure it's in that book or Increase Your Financial IQ, one of the early Robert Kiyosaki books. He used to take a photocopy of a check for the deposit and staple that to an offer. In fact, I think he actually used to write a check and staple the check to a written offer and send it in. So it's like, I'll buy it at this price, but here's the money.
Yeah.
Literally, you can cash this check today. There's the money.
It shows intent, doesn't it?
Yeah. And because agents get a lot of people go, yeah, I'll buy that, and disappear, don't follow through, or say they'll buy it, start the process, then pull out, can't get the money. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
So that's a really important thing. If you're going to be offering at your price, back it up with having the funds and be able to prove it.
Yeah. So show up as a credible and serious investor.
Yeah. And stick to your number. I think, if you've worked out properly your numbers and what you're, always have a little bit of wiggle room there, but know what you're prepared to go to. Don't immediately increase, because expect that the agent, let's assume we're dealing with an agent here, you put your offer in, it's a bit lower than they're expecting, but you handle it well. It's not personal. This is just where I'm at, but I've got the funds. Here they are. Expect the answer to come back as no, right? Be ready for that no, because the agent is always going to test you with a no, just to see, are you immediately going to start going up? So wait for the no, get the no, and then you can make a decision. I don't immediately up on that number. There are a couple of caveats this we'll come back to. But generally speaking, I won't immediately go up on that call. But what I will probably do is put it back to the agent and go, okay, well, let's say, it's on the market at 110, I think we said. And let's say we offer get you 5. I've already done my work, remember, to find out, are there any other offers sitting on this property? We've already done that bit, and we know there aren't. So no one else is in the market right now for that. So why should I immediately go up? And I'll put it back to the agent and say, okay, well, where can we get a price to take off the market today? And make the agent go back to the vendor before you immediately, start upping your offer.
And I think the thing that makes this negotiation a little bit easier for you to do is having multiple offers and multiple, big pipeline. If you've got one property in your pipeline and that's the one that you've offered on, it means a lot more. But if you've gone out and you've got a bigger pipeline, you've got direct to vendor activity happening, as well as agent activity, as well as your letting agents and all the different things. And we'll do a whole episode on pipeline another time. But if you've got all of that happening, that one offer doesn't hold as much importance. It's not as heavy a weight as if you've got a pipeline of stuff going on.
Be like James Caan. He's like, it didn't matter to him whether that building came off or not. Yeah, sure, he'd buy it at the right price and it would add to his portfolio. But if it didn't come off, it's fine. You've got to be able to, as Sarah says, the only way you're doing that is if you have more than one thing on the go at any one time. We see it a lot, don't we? Where I think, particularly new entrants into this, fixate on a property. I saw an amazing property. I want this property. I can make this beautiful and I love it and blah, blah, blah. Those are all emotional responses.
Yes.
And it makes it very difficult to be kind of business-like about it. You've got to be able to walk away and not worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And realize that, persistence is everything, and follow up is everything. So make your offer. If it is rejected, that's not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Agent. Thank you, Miss Agent. Really appreciate you putting that forward to the vendor. Let them know that I'm here if they need me at some point in the future. I hope that they get what they want, but if they don't, please come back to revisit my offer, and I will also talk to you and follow up on this just to see where the vendor's at.
Yeah. And I've always made sure that I have shown the agent that I have the ability to transact on the deal. And I always leave it with them. If they want this done quickly, I appreciate it's not the number that they're looking for, but if they want it done quickly, have a chat with them and say that I'm here and you've seen my proof of funds and you know that I can do it quickly. Because I think I said on the previous episode, it's not always about price. Yeah, it's really easy to assume that it's always price. It's not. Sometimes there are vendors that want to sell quickly for a number of different reasons. You know, I've had vendors that are not that fussed about the price. I had one, I remember this came from this was a direct to vendor. It was actually back, in the days where you had little ads in the paper. Yeah, little I buy houses. But we used to do that, and it used to work. They did used to work. And somebody actually rang, from that little ad, I buy houses. And it was a little town just outside Edinburgh. Caan and I dragged down. We met this guy. He was an older guy. He'd bought this house of buttons like 20 years ago, right? And it was worth about 100-ish grand. We looked him up. We looked it up, and he'd probably paid like $4,000 for it back in the day. He'd made his money on it. And his motivator was he just needed to get enough money out so he could relocate down south where his son lived and go and live there. And he said, he needed, I can't remember what he told us, he needed like 70 grand to do it. And to be able to do that. And he said, look, I know I could probably get more if I went with an agent, but I just don't want those people going through my house. I don't want my neighbours knowing. I just literally want to go.
Yeah, he wanted certainty and speed.
Yeah, he wanted certainty and speed, and he wasn't fussed about squeezing every penny out. He made his money ready, because he bought it for nothing, comparatively back in the day. So we did a deal. I think it was around about 70 grand what you needed. And we're like, yeah, okay, we can do that. And, it'll be totally discreet. And that's what we did. And he was delighted.
And sometimes it can be those little tweaks to an offer that you make. So, you might, if someone's had a probate, property, so they're selling, kids are selling because parents have passed on, house is a mess, lots and lots of things there, but they live in Australia and they're freaking about how to deal with all of that. You can offer to deal with it on their behalf. So you can buy the property and say, look, we can clear the property. You don't have to worry about anything like that. So there's this is a people game, and you need to find out what the real pain points are, because not all of them are financial. So it could be, time to execute. It could be things like clearing the house, or, any of these sorts of things, or just your intentions for the house as well. So some people, care about what happens to the house afterwards. So talk to them about that, and, see if you can align with what their values are.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Yeah, exactly. We keep saying it, but it is a people game. And it is a bit of a game. You have to kind of treat it like that. Have fun with it. What's your best negotiation, Sarah?
Let me think.
Or your favourite one?
Favourite? I think probably a little row. Oh no, I know which one. Yeah, multi-unit block. It was up for a year. It was a property that was in receivership. So a portfolio landlord had lost a lot of property through mortgages being called in for various reasons. It was up with a local agent. We'd gone in, we'd offered, I think, 220 for it. And 210. And the agent really wanted us to get it, and the receivership were just being absolute idiots. And it went on for a year, and we just followed up. And then in the end, it went to an online auction, and it was the very first online auction that BidX1 or Bid1X, I can't remember, had ever done in this country. So that was an Irish company, and it was the very first online auction where you're bidding online. This was pre-COVID days, where it's all the rage now, but it wasn't back then. And we went on and watched the bids, and it didn't sell. And so then the auctioneer company rang us and said, well, will you buy it for 220? And we were like, no, but we'll buy it for 200. And they went, all right then. Right, what we'll do is we'll start the auction again online. You'll be the only bidder. If you could just kind of bid and go through from there. So it was literally like the most anticlimax bidding war ever. There's no one else online. It's us. Countdown. 200. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and it was done. But like, it was great because we got it for less than what we even wanted in the first place, which was even less than what it had been up for. I think it had been advertised for 270 or something like that, and we got 200, and we got 6 flats. So yeah, I loved that one just because it was farcical as well.
Yeah, and that's it, and that worked because you had your number and you weren't prepared to beat it, to be pressured into trying to beat it. And if it came off, brilliant. If it didn't, that's also fine because you had lots of other stuff.
And persistence. We followed that property for 12 months.
Yeah. But you would have been prepared if it went. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself? What's
Well, I even say I'm trying to think, but I've had a few. I mean, a personal one. I think one of my favourites probably by Stafford Street in Edinburgh, because we were trying to break into Edinburgh market to buy townhouses, which is everybody, literally every agent we spoke to was like, yeah, you and everyone else wants to buy townhouses. Like, fine, okay, so we like a challenge. So yeah, we just kept viewing them and building up rapport. Caroline's great at that, kind of wind her up, and off she goes into the world and makes everyone her best pal. She's very skilled at that. Yes, we got to all these agents, and eventually we saw Stafford Street, and it was a female agent that was showing it. And so Caroline immediately, in Edinburgh, probably like most other places, actually, it's a very male-dominated property industry, particularly in commercial. And she was a female agent selling to a female, like, put Caroline front and centre. They really kind of hit it off, and they really liked us. And there was 15 bids on that building. It was a really popular building. Some people just whacking in offers without even really seeing it. We did loads of due diligence on that building. We proved, we really went to town. We want this building. This is what we're going to do with it. We've shared our vision with it all. And essentially it went to close bidding, and we came third. But because of our relationship with the time we put in with the agent, she liked us, and it was a kind of female, solidarity thing in Edinburgh. We got it over the line, and she convinced the client to go with us, even though we were significantly under what the top bidder was. It's because we'd built the credibility, we'd proven that we were serious about it, we'd got everyone on side, and it got over the line. And that was kind of our entrance into the Edinburgh townhouse market. So that's my favourite one, just because everyone has said it won't happen.
Yeah, and you proved them wrong.
We weren't the highest bidder, and it was a really popular building. So
yeah. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? It's a people game. Persistence is everything. Follow up is everything. But if you are worried about making cheeky offers and offending an agent or losing out on a deal by going in too low, just don't be. Okay, so the number that works for you is the number that works for you, and don't be persuaded that you need to go up by your ego or by an agent.
Yeah, or don't be put off by putting that offer in. Yeah, and don't be put off putting that offer. You think, the offer's really low, and some people, I think, shy away from putting that in. This is where you got to kind of get over yourself a bit and just go, look, it's all about how you put the offer in. There's 2 ways of putting an offer in. Let's say, you're viewing something on the market for 100 and your number comes out at 60 grand. Sounds really low, but it might be that it's massively overpriced. Now, if you just go in and go, tell you what, I'll give you 60 grand for it, that's not the way you're going to build rapport and get someone over the line.
Yeah.
If you go in and go, look, I can't get anywhere near 100 because of XYZ reason, I've got to spend this amount on it, blah, blah. But look, I'm really serious. You've got other stuff. Great. I'm in, here's my proof of funds. I'm ready to buy. I just can't get anywhere near that 100. But look, if I was going to buy it, it's going to be like 60. But, here's my money. I'm good for it. I know they're probably going to want a lot more than that, but there I am. And that's a very different conversation than just bashing in, I'll give you 60 grand for it.
Yeah. And obviously, you've got to hope that the agent is portraying the sentiment that you made the offer to them, to, the owner of the property as well. Because especially if it's a owner occupier, it can be very personal, very stressful selling your house. So you've got to be very aware of the language that you use, and very much say to the agent, when you're explaining my offer, please, give them this information, so that you're not putting people's noses out of joints.
Yeah, and a good agent who knows you should, know if that's what's coming. And I've had lots of agents say, look, I know they're going to want more, but look, let me talk to them. Let me see what I can do. And someone's like, your job as an investor, agents start out working for the vendor, right? They're trying to get the best price for the vendor. That's kind of their default position. But the more they get to know you in an area and they see your consistency and they know you've got the funds, they know you follow through and they know you execute on things, they will just gradually start trying to get vendors more to where you are, because they want you to buy it because they know you're good and it's not going to fall out of bed and you're not going to have financing problems. So, at the end of the day, agents are there to sell houses and make their commission. And if they can do that by squeezing the vendor down more towards you, because they'll sell more to you, that works. That works for them.
And I think before we wrap up, one other thing that I've just sort of thought of, Nick, is that actually sometimes you don't have to put cheeky offers in. Sometimes the offer is more or less what they're asking for it, because the way that you're running your numbers, what you're going to be doing with the property afterwards, makes it work for you. So, equally, don't be offering below market value. Well, you
just
can
for the sake of it. Just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it. So, if something's up, and especially like this happens more in Scotland, where you've got your home buyers report, and it's just structured a little bit differently, isn't it? So it's like offers over whatever it would be, and if it's over 65,000 and you're going to offer 40,000, but it works, and you want it in your portfolio at 59,000, offer the 59. If it works for you, just offer that number and get it in your portfolio and get it earning money for you.
Yeah, there's a saying in trading, financial trading, which is don't be a dick for a tick, right? Which is basically don't hold out for that extra little bit just because you think you might win. It's like, if it works at there, just do it at there. Let's not be silly about it.
So we do say it's a game, and it is a game, but it's not a game of winning and losing. It's a game that you're supposed to enjoy the process of playing.
It only works if everyone wins. This is never going to be, a vendor's never going to sell you a property for a really low price unless it works for them to do so. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong. It's like they think, I'm like screwing this person out of money. It's like, you're not. They're never going to sell it. If they need to get a certain price, they won't sell it below that price. But if there's wiggle in there, that's where the negotiation sits. Yeah. So, it's got to win for everyone.
That's it. Win for everyone. So hopefully we've given you some good tips as to how you can negotiate, that sort of language that you can use when you're doing offers. And, if you want to hear more about that sort of thing from us and from some of our expert speakers, join this Property Life networking community. We're a good bunch of straight down the line, friendly folk. We meet up quarterly for business networking days, and we meet weekly on Zoom as well. So if you are interested in that and want to find out more, where can they go, Nick?
thispropertylife.co.uk. Everything's on there. All about our membership, what you get, how you get to meet us and meet our team, meet our network. This is not a lone wolf environment. You can't do it on your own. It is a team sport, investing in property.
Yeah, we've got a little saying, success is a team sport, and we really mean it. So, if you're interested in that, thispropertylife.co.uk. Our next quarterly meeting is in July 25, and that's 5th of July 2025. And the next one after that, I think, is going to be the 1st of November. So, we'd love to see you there.
We'll see you there.